Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. The podcast recently voted among thousands of Amazon sellers as the number one podcast for Amazon sellers. Quite an honor. We've also got the top rated group for Amazon sellers. It's completely free. Go to silentjimdotcom to get a link to that as well. We're very proud of how well we did in recent voting among the entire industry. And I think it's well earned. We've got a team of about 100 of us that serve this community. And that is our full-time job. We sell online, but we also love learning from and contributing to this incredible community that continues to grow. Our Facebook group just passed 80,000 people. We add about 200 to 300 new sellers every week to that group. And something that's really cool to keep in mind is, as fast as it seems like our community is growing, the industry is growing so much faster. And we talk about that today. The opportunity is getting bigger so much faster than we can possibly hope to keep up with, which creates this great abundance mindset in our community where we don't see each other as competitors. We see each other as fellow business building warriors. We talk about that kind of stuff today. So I made a Facebook post about a month ago in our group, and I said, hey, I need some confused, skeptical newbies. I need some people who have been in our community for a week or two. You've checked things out. You're considering doing some things with us and pursuing the business model that we teach here, but you're confused, you're new, maybe you're frustrated. Had a few hands go up. I set a time on the calendar and said, hey, who can join me for a podcast episode? Let's go through your questions together live. And we've got a couple guests today who are going to jump on. Andy and Jeff are going to join us here in just a moment, and we're going to jump right into their questions. What are their concerns? Where are they stuck? What terminology is confusing to them? How are they processing this business opportunity now that they've been in our community for a short period of time? So I had a blast talking to these guys, and they encouraged me. We got into some really cool topics. These are two guys I've never met before, never corresponded with. They just agreed and raised their hand and said, yeah, we'll jump on a podcast. So I think the transparent conversation, the candid conversation is going to be of a lot of service to you as a listener today. And if you want to jump in and continue the conversation like we have with these guys, get into our Facebook group anytime. These are the things we talk about. We do speak quite a bit about our upcoming conference. They had some questions about it. They're planning to attend. Go to theprovenconference.com to get details. It's the last 3 days of May of 2025. May 29th, 30th, and 31st, 2025, we're going to Orlando, Florida. Hundreds of us have already registered. We've got a ridiculously low discount on the rooms at this beautiful resort right next to SeaWorld. Bring your family, a very family-friendly gated resort. Beautiful for about a little over $100 per night. Get a beautiful room, hang out with the rest of the community. Come a few days early, stay a few days late, and enjoy the same room discount. It's a great chance to come experience this community. We talk about that. We talk about how expansive the opportunity is on Amazon and how we are defining the replens opportunity in such a way that hopefully it makes sense to you that you could sell everyday, boring, easily sourced products at prices higher than what they're on the store shelves at Walmart and Target or Kroger near you. You can sell them for prices way higher than that to eager customers who snatch up those items on Amazon. How does that work? Why are people paying more on Amazon? Well, it's because of convenience, of course, and speed. We get into all of that. You don't have to be the lowest price to win sales on Amazon. We talk about why that is, how that works. Even among your other Amazon selling competitors, you can be a high price and win a ton of sales. Here's a little hint. Amazon has hundreds of warehouses. And just because someone's selling it cheaper in Chicago, your customer in Tampa doesn't want to wait 3 days to get the product. They're willing to pay more for the speed in the warehouse that's near them. So that is an insider secret. We unpack that a little bit. So hopefully you enjoy the questions, the time. This is an episode I think that will serve our newer listeners really, really well as they kind of dive in to decide if they want to know, like, and trust what we've got going on around here. If you've been around a while, you're going to find some great topics as well here. This is an unusual episode because remember, most of our episodes are where we interview the very successful students from our training. In this case, today we're interviewing a couple guys who are brand new around here and they had a lot of questions. So enjoy this episode. Thanks for being the best part of our show as we blaze towards 1,000 episodes of this show. It's an honor to serve you. And we have many, many great episodes already recorded coming your way. So don't miss any new episodes, especially as we get closer to May. Some really special things happening in this community. You want to be at our conference in Orlando. Make plans, get your whole family there, come a few days early, stay a few days late, enjoy the community, enjoy the area, and let's build something special together. Let's jump over and get our guests on the line now. You're going to enjoy this. So Ken and Andy, thanks for doing this. Good to see you guys.
Not a problem. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to this episode, and based on the topics you guys have submitted, I know it's going to be good information for everyone. So let's get into it. Ken, what's on your mind?
Well, my first question is, how long does it usually take for Amazon to respond to the application for the seller account? Because it's been about a week now. I filled out the account, the application, and have not heard back yet. How long should I wait?
Well, here's the good news. I am unaware of any stories in our community of people who tried to sign up for Amazon and then just never heard back. So there's the good news, right? Now, how long does it typically take? There is a process that changes from time to time. There's a little more scrutiny put into the process now. They're going to want to possibly do a video interview and have you hold up your driver's license and see the address and the face matches you, and maybe or take a picture. They do a lot to make sure that they're not letting in any scammers, because that's one of the big things that they fight, obviously. But the fact that it's taken a week, you should hear something pretty soon. If it's much longer than that, I would just reapply. Because while you're not allowed to have more than one Amazon seller account, I've never seen a rule about applying a second time if you haven't heard back yet. So that'd be my suggestion is, give it a week, 10 days. If you don't hear anything,
right,
go ahead and try again.
Has anyone ever been rejected?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. They reject, I would say they reject 90% of the people who try. But here's what you have to remember. Those are the people who don't have a matching valid driver's license that matches their face. Those are the people who haven't set up a US-based entity if they live overseas, right? Those are the people who don't have a valid bank account, right? So there's a lot of people trying to game the system and scam the system, and clowns and spammers trying to get in as sellers. But legitimate people with a real name and a real address and able to identify themselves, they got a piece of mail with a utility bill that matches the address on their license, or they've got a US-based entity if they live outside the United States. Right? Yeah, it's just a matter of checking the boxes. And then, no, those people all get in. Amazon wants more sellers. They need more sellers. We prove that all the time around here, that the opportunity is growing far faster than the eligible sellers are coming in to help fill the shelf space at Amazon. So yeah, you'll get in. I'm confident.
It makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Very good.
Okay. And so, of course, I completed the Amazon 101, did the first steps on the milestone, ready to do milestone 2, but obviously I cannot proceed until I get approved. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of excited the way you kind of put that in steps on that milestone number 2. I'm kind of excited to start that, but I'm kind of just waiting right at the moment.
Yeah, our new seller roadmap is that we're pretty proud of it. It's only a few months old at this point, brand new stuff. And we love stepping new sellers one step at a time, baby steps. And we call it the Getting Started Roadmap. It's one of the first things you see, as you know, Ken, when you get into the Proven Amazon course. And so glad you're a student. Yeah, we're going to really walk you through the process. You can go ahead, I would say, skip forward a little bit and start learning about Keepa, start learning how to read a chart. Right. There's always going to be more to learn. There's always information you can soak up. And that way you kind of hit the ground running, and you may already have a list of potential ASINs. Now, maybe you'll be gated in some of them, but eventually you will be ungated in those products, and you can go back and visit them. So yeah, you can go ahead and start working on your skills while you wait would be my suggestion.
That's a good, because I did take the one course on the Keepa. So that was interesting. And for me, I can't just go through these courses once, even the 101 course. I got to take it again. I learn best while I'm taking the course and doing it at the same time.
Sure.
So I'm excited about that. Once I get approved, I can, watch that Keepa course again. And as I'm watching it, I could be doing it. And that's how I learn. I learn by doing.
Yep.
And another question I have is, this is going to be a part-time business for me right now. This year, my goal is to develop a secondary income while I'm full-time employed. How
Right.
much time would you recommend I put into it to get this thing started and going?
Yeah, what's realistic? That's a great question. I hear frequently, what's the minimum money and minimum time, or what's a reasonable amount of money and a reasonable amount of time to build something significant? And it kind of depends on what your goal is and how much time you have to try to hit certain benchmarks, obviously. Like if you're saying, okay, I got 2 months, I need to earn $30,000 a month fast. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, that business doesn't exist in our
Yes.
community or anywhere else in the world, unfortunately. Now, there's plenty of people who will sell you a course that claims they can do that, but it doesn't actually exist, right? So realistically, if you've got $1,000 or $2,000 approximately, and you can put in 10, maybe 15 hours a week
Okay.
on a consistent basis, not every week, but fairly consistently to learn, to study, to grow this thing, you can start getting really nice 40% to 100% ROI on your initial inventory investment money within 2, 3, 4 months. You'll start seeing those wheels turning. And then it's just a consistent, steady churning machine that requires about that much time and effort every week consistently over time. Now, if you have to take time off, that's fine, but the machine will slow down 3 weeks later as a result. So something like, I went on vacation a month ago. That's why I'm not getting any sales this week, because I turned off the machine 3 weeks or a month ago, right? So it takes a couple months to get it running. And then the stuff you're doing today is paying off 3 to 6 weeks from now, any given time, right? So you're kind of
That's very reasonable. That's kind of what I was expecting to put into it. Because even on just the second milestone, I was reading your little paragraph there. It takes commitment. Depends on what you want out of it. You're not going to just get something out of it and not put it in the commitment. One reason why I chose your course, real quickly, tell you what, you try to get some information on one of these courses, and Facebook floods you with all kinds of different courses.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
1 month you could be making this. So I did my research, looked at some reviews, and you kept popping up. Your course kept popping up as the number one course to learn how to sell on Amazon. And that's why I went with you. And I know it takes some work, but that's good. Yeah. I like your reply there.
Yeah, well, anything worth having in life is going to take, as you know, you're a small business owner. Anything worth having in life, I don't care if you're talking about your marriage, your health, business, it's going to require blood, sweat, tears, risk, work, sacrifice, time, effort, energy. Like, nothing just falls in your lap. Forrest Gump was a fun movie, but it's fiction, right? Then one day I played ping pong and now I'm winning tournaments in the world. Like, no, that's not how the real world works. It takes a lot of time and commitment to do the things worth having in life and to have those things. And so we try to take a very realistic approach about what it is you're doing here. There's no magic buttons on the internet. It's going to take some work. I love working with people who have grinded in another industry and they can appreciate the work that goes into building a real business, because they don't come in assuming they're just going to be able to hit some buttons and the bank account starts filling, because that's what everyone else is promising out there. We don't promise that here. It is actual work, but there's a system here and it has a very bright future, and all the metrics are in our favor. All the big trends are in our favor. And I won't go into my, stump speech on all of that right now. I've mentioned those things many times on other episodes and in our group, but we call it the low, low, high around here. Lowest risk, lowest learning curve, highest odds of success. And you need very little money to get started, and you can earn while you learn at your own pace. So if all you've got is 5 hours a week, it's going to take you a while. If all you've got is $500 to start for inventory, it's going to take you a while, but you can prove it and earn while you learn. And there's no big, scary, risky jump off point where you have to go write some big check and hope it works out someday. We don't do that here. So yeah, that's what you're picking up on. And we have been doing it longer than anyone. We were voted, since you brought it up, the number one training for Amazon sellers, the number one podcast, number one community, top rated event. right? So we've been doing it a long time the right way, and we're proud of that validation that showed up. And I will say this one before we move on to your questions, Andy, and see what's on your mind, and we'll bounce back and forth here. But one of the things that I'm very proud of is the fact that we help people find a valid business opportunity by proposing this question. And we ask that any new student who comes to our community or who's considering any business opportunity ask this one simple question before they go into it. So you're scrolling around on Facebook or Instagram and you see this ad and this guy and this car and this pile of cash and these promises. There's such a simple way to know who you should and shouldn't listen to, besides your instincts that say, okay, too good to be true, right? We can trust those instincts. But the great question you can ask is, hey, where do the people hang out who've applied your system and gone on to build great businesses? Where are those people? I want to hang out with them. I want to interact with them before I do anything else. I want to interact with the community of people who have applied the principles you teach. And 99 point something percent of the time, you're not going to get anything back. And what I'm proud of about our community is instantly we say, hey, here's our podcast, hundreds of interviews with our students, full names used on 90% of them, unless they have a job and they don't want to use their full name or, protecting their identity for some reason. And then here's our Facebook group where all of our students hang out. High-level coaching students, people who just signed up yesterday for our courses, people who've been in our community for 10 years full time, all hanging out in one big free Facebook group. Hop in there and ask your questions. That kind of transparency, I think, is what's earned us the reputation. But that's a great way to avoid ever getting scammed, is knowing exactly what you're getting into by meeting the people who are doing it before you get into the business model. And that's been a core tenet around here. And it's a high standard that we hold ourselves to. And there's very, very few in the industry that I've seen, if any, that hold themselves to that same standard who are claiming to teach business principles. So we're very proud of that. And that's a good way to keep yourself out of trouble too. When you're seeing all these ads and all these offers and all this shiny object, it can be very distracting for me. Even I see all those ads too. Like, wow, they're onto something that I should know about. No, they're not. They've been doing it for 3 months, So, okay, I went too long on that. I want to hear from Andy. Thanks for your patience, buddy. You said you've got some great questions I heard before we hit the record button today. I'm eager to dive into them, but it's your turn, man. What's on your mind?
Well, I joined just after the first of the year, January, and I have joined the Proven Amazon course community and gone through Kickstart, although not all the way through the roadmap.
Okay.
Along the way, I purchased Keep a 360 as a course, and also the system as well, primarily because there was incentive to pull the trigger then.
Right.
I listened to your podcast episodes. I try to get as much as I can from the community.
How many would you say you've heard podcast episodes? Sorry to interrupt. I'm just curious to paint a good picture here.
At least 20.
Okay, I'm with you. Good. You're in a good spot. All right.
And I'm about halfway through the Replens course in the Proven Amazon course. And I find myself with a little analysis paralysis. Next steps. Should I finish this course or start the next course? And the Kickstart was good. The Kickstart was fine in that you always had a chance once a week to ask questions. But, people ask questions and you're kind of trying to get your nose in there, if you will, because it's a finite amount of time. So sometimes, I guess my question is, I'm considering the coaching, but how do you know? Just go back to that roadmap and just make sure you're following that and turn off all the other noise, even though I think it's great content?
Yes. So here's a reality of the arena that you've stepped into. And I've been in this arena for 23 years. So sometimes I forget this basic core skill that not everybody brings with them to the game. And that is this. There's going to be 50 good things you could do every day to improve your business. Finding that one or two right things is a discipline that you have to develop. knowing that there's 48 other good things you could have done, and they probably would have moved your business forward, and it probably would have ultimately been time well spent. But were they the right things? So understanding, I've spent a lot of time, and actually did a whole podcast episode. I won't go in my whole tirade here, but it's a pretty interesting distinction that you're forced to make when you step into this wide open arena of possibilities. When you start to realize good ideas are actually potentially bad things for you to pursue, because there's right ideas right under your nose that you'd be ignoring if you spent time on the good ideas. In other words, we're parsing the difference between good ideas and right ideas. And that's a skill set not everybody has. And it's not always necessary in life. Typically, if you have a good idea, you're like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that good thing. In this arena, however, there's almost a toxicity of good ideas, because there's so many really good things that you could spend your time doing. And you could, and I love your phrase. I'm going to use it because that's one we use around here frequently. How did you say it? The
Analysis paralysis.
analysis paralysis. There we go. Thank you. We call it shiny object syndrome too, right? Because there's so many great things sitting around this room that you've walked into. Your temptation is to pick them up and check them out one at a time. But what you've done ultimately at the end of a month is you've picked up a bunch of things and looked at them for a few seconds and put them back down. And they're all good. And at some point in the future, they probably all will play a role in your business. But what you've got to stay focused on and turn off the noise, which if there was one skill set that I wish I could just implant, like Matrix style, when you watch the movie Matrix, like, okay, now you know judo, bonk. Like if there's one thing, it would be the ability to focus and turn off the noise of the world for extended periods of time, which it's scary how much we've lost that as a culture. I mean, I was better at that when I was 12, 13, 14 years old as a kid. I could sit down and read a book for 3 hours. I can't do that anymore. Like, where'd that ability go, man? What happened? Right?
Usually because they're holding the cell phone. There's a problem.
Well, exactly.
Right,
you get a notification, a sale was made, an opportunity, boom, that someone needs something, a friend you haven't heard from in 2 months. Well, I can't ignore him, right? It's like boom, 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 boom all day. So you've got to be able to turn that stuff off. And if you can get that season of intense focused effort, and that's very intentional language, intense focused effort. If it takes you 9 months to get those 3 weeks worth of work done, okay. I've had people come up to me and say it took them 5 years to get those 2 or 3 weeks of intense focused effort of getting this business established, finding their first few products and sending them in. It took them years. Okay. You can do it in 3 or 4 weeks. It's going to take some intense focused effort. It's worth getting through those stages. And to specifically answer your question, Keep a 360 is phenomenal. And yes, we put it on sale. When we launch new content around here, what we do is it's separate from our library. Think of it as like, when new movies come out in the theater. You've got your Netflix at home, which has, let's pretend Netflix has every movie ever made. And then you got the stuff that's in the theaters right now. And you can't get that on Netflix. That's how we do our content here. When we got a brand new concept and a brand new course that one of our great leaders or trainers has created, it's not in our library yet. It costs a few dollars. And if you're saying, hey, I need that now, I don't want to wait till it's in the library. I need it now. Yeah, we'll put it on sale, run a special, do some promos for it. Some people will grab it, and they've learned that our price is so ridiculously underpriced. They're going to grab it as soon as it comes out every time. Those are the people who have a Netflix subscription, and they go to see all the new release movies too. Even though the new release movies will be in their Netflix within 6 to 9 months. If it's a really bad movie, it'll be about a month, right? But you get the idea. So you've grabbed some good stuff that will eventually be inside the Proven Amazon course. All our content eventually goes into that library. So to the new seller, I say, wait, you don't have to do any of this other stuff that you see being talked about, and you're on the email list now, so you're going to see some promotions. The only thing you do want to keep, and I heard you mention this before we hit record today, in those opportunities to gather live with the community, such as our Orlando event, yeah, you want to do that. And you mentioned coaching. So the only thing I'll say about that, unless you have more questions, I'm happy to talk more about it, is our coaching is designed for you to go further faster with intense focused effort. meaning we're going to keep you on the road. And you're going to say, hey, what about that exit? Hey, what about that new release movie over there? Hey, what about this? And the coach is like, no, focus, back on track. We're going to do this, this, and this before we meet next time. Here's the step. Don't worry about those things. And you're going to say, oh, I got this great idea. I think I can improve on the system here. And I go, well, we've tried that in the past. And here's why you should probably, be very cautious with that idea. So we're just going to keep those guardrails on the highway so you can just step on the gas without running into anything. That's a big, so it doesn't matter if you're new or if you've been doing this a while. Do you want to go further, faster right now by someone who's been doing it longer than you at scale? Yeah, that's what coaching is. So if you want to go further, faster, maintain your focus, coaching is for you. If you've got the margin in your life to take advantage of it, it's a great option for you. Okay, so did I hit all your questions? And I wouldn't mind talking a little bit more about the system as well, because I think you made a good call grabbing that at the stage where we got it priced so low, because you will need it eventually for sure. So yeah, great call there.
I would say so. I guess the other thing that's funny about the coaching is if you do pull the trigger on the coaching, don't realize that there are then perhaps discounts for things that you were thinking about anyway. If you
free
signed up for coaching, you could go to Orlando, but you didn't know that.
Yeah.
Before you got the coaching.
We give tons of stuff for free. We have coaching students. I've been doing e-commerce coaching for 23 years now. People who signed up for my coaching program 23 years ago get new content free constantly, because that was a commitment we made early on. They haven't paid any more for it. They get ridiculous discounts, if not free, for our live events, even for, paid, if it costs money, you're either going to get it free or a ridiculous discount. Right. Yeah. So it pays for itself multiple times over is our goal. We want it to be the best e-commerce coaching program in the world was our goal. And I think we're there. We've been doing it longer at scale with more success stories than anyone. So we're very proud of it. But yes, you're absolutely right, Andy. Your admission to the conference in Florida, one of the things that we do a lot of times with new coaching students is say, hey, just come for free. And I'm putting this out there in a podcast. It's like, hey, yeah, you got a big discount, but yeah, we want you there. We especially if you're new to our community, we really want you there. No charge. Just come on. General admission is on us, right? So if there's a coaching student out there who hasn't heard that offer, that's your offer. Because the value of being there is so incredible. And I say it moves your business forward 6 to 9 months. And
you can't afford to wait a full year.
You really shouldn't. No. Right. Even if you're brand new, you need to be there in May. This community is something very special. There's and we all know the power of gathering, and we have fond memories of gathering in large groups of like-minded people in our past, right? But when it's e-commerce and business, there's just nowhere in our culture where you can gather where people are celebrating business success. Most places business is talked about, it's, well, when's that evil rich guy going to give back? Like that's the context of most conversations about business. Here, little wins, my first sale, my first big month, my first, I finally figured out this tool and my business has taken off, and you're sharing these ideas. There's just a synergy there that's hard to describe until you've experienced it. And we've been doing it. This is our 13th one. And we got 40 sessions, everything from newbies to advanced strategies. It's a special event, and I'm thrilled that you're going to be able to come.
Yeah, I'll prompt you with one last thing. The candle example is brilliant.
Okay, you like that. Well, since you brought it up, I'll share that. And that reminds me of another example I want to share, because Ken had said he's technologically, let's say challenged. So I want to hit an example there too. But you brought the candle example. So I learned this from my good friend, Rabbi Daniel Lapp, and he's been a mentor of mine. And he first made this observation about our community at an event he spoke at. But he said, success is contagious, as is cowardice. Contagious, and scarcity mindset is contagious, as is an abundance mindset. And he likes to illustrate the definition he has of success, which I've adapted, is you either see it as something that is very scarce and only a few people can have it, and if you don't beat the other people to it, then you're going to be out of luck. Or you see success as something that as many people who want to have it can have it. And the candlelight example comes into this and illustrates this brilliantly. He says, imagine it's cake versus candlelight is the illustration. So I'll start with the cake. Imagine we're in a room and we're all lined up around the middle of this round room, or around the edge of this round room, right? We've all got a fork, our plastic fork, let's say, and in the middle is this cake, and there's nowhere near enough cake for all of us. And someone says, go. And then we all rush to the middle with our forks to get as much of the cake as we possibly can. And most people get no cake. Most people just get stepped on. Unfortunately, I would argue most people see success through that lens of that illustration. Success is something only a few people get in life. The rest of us get stepped on and they just kind of go get their thing. It's a scarcity mindset. It's a limited resource mindset, right? The other vantage point you can have, which our community has, is a candlelight, meaning let's put us back in that same room. And the goal is let's make this room bright so we can see what's going on. And there's a couple people with candles and that are lit. Everyone else has an unlit candle. So what do? We just start lighting candles. And it doesn't cost me anything to light someone else's candle. Suddenly the room gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and we're lighting each other's candles. And the room is now fully lit. And we all have a lit candle, and it didn't cost any of us anything. We all benefit from the synergy of the candlelight. So that's how I choose to see success. And I believe we live it out in this community every day as we see more and more people coming in, being encouraged. I love that a new seller like you, Andy, could jump into our Facebook group and say, hey guys, I had my first $100 day. And you're going to get 50 people, applause, celebrating, thumbs up, encouraging posts. That's what we do here because we see success as candlelight, not cake. And it's an important distinction. And people who see success like a limited resource, like a cake in the middle of the room, they don't quite get our group. They're like, why are you guys helping each other? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would someone tell me how to make this business work? Like, why aren't you just doing it yourself? And why are you sharing it with somebody else? Because your success makes the room brighter. That's my perspective, not takes cake away from my kids, right? So thank you for bringing that up. I love sharing that illustration. I haven't gone that deep with it in a while. And I think it really does help explain how things are different in our group compared to some other places, maybe where you've seen business strategies and the competitive environment. One of the things I love saying at the beginning of our conferences is you are not in a room full of your competitors. You're in a room full of fellow business building warriors who are rooting for your success. Now, I can't speak for everyone here, but I can tell you that 85, 90% of us here have that mindset. Maybe you're too new to have adopted that mindset yet, but the vast majority of us, that's how we see you, is a fellow business building warrior worthy of our support, knowing at some point you're going to be supporting us in return. So thank you. Hopefully that wasn't too long of a soapbox, but I'm passionate about this stuff. So thank you for setting me up, Andy. Well, what else is on your mind? Oh, okay. Ken, you had said something about being technologically challenged. So fill me in on that. Like, what's your internet background?
My internet background is basically, well, I've learned a lot through my work, through my office manager lately, but it came from zero this last year to where I didn't even know how to access my email. It was that bad.
Right.
And I just kind of learned how to copy and paste. So I'm learning. And again, I have to do it. You can show me how to do it, but I have to do it to learn. And for instance, we use an automated scheduling system, Service Titan, for our business here. And I was shown how to do that several times, but until I started doing it, I didn't retain it. That's why I was telling you earlier, once I get approved to start onto this next things that we need to do, I'm going to watch the course and do it at the same time, because that's how I'm going to learn.
Absolutely. Well, the thing I wanted to say to encourage you when you shared that with me today before we hit record was a story about one of the great coaches on our team. He's built an incredible business. He's moved on and doing all kinds of great things now in e-commerce. Was a guy who started off in construction, and he was just building houses and had no use for the internet, didn't even have a smartphone, and just kind of doing his thing. Hurt his back and had a few months to recover before he'd be able to go back to doing his thing, and decided, well, I better learn this internet thing and just see what's going on. Got into our community, became a seller, became a very successful, proven Amazon course student, eventually became a coach, walked away from his construction career, because it wasn't worth the physical risk anymore. So he went all in, has built a beautiful business. And we hear stories like that all the time. because two of the promises that I made early on, you've heard of the book Silent Sales Machine. I don't know if you've been through it yet or not. It's in its 11th version. We give it away free. Since I mentioned it, silentjimdotcom/free11 is where you can go grab a free copy of that book. But the first version of that book, I made a promise to the reader that if my education career takes off as I'm teaching these e-commerce strategies, there's two promises I'm going to make to everyone who ever listens to anything that I teach. One of them is you are not going to have to learn a whole set of new technically challenging skills. You're not going to have to learn how to code in C+. You're not going to have to learn how to be an advanced graphic design engineer with a 2-year computer degree. Like, no, there's room and value in all of that. But that's not what we do here. What we do here is we look for the low highs, low barrier to entry, low risk, low investment required, high odds of eventual success if you do the work. We're going to teach that stuff. Low tech, do the work, put in the time. Yeah, there's going to be some skill involved. Anything business-wise has a little bit of skill, a little bit of basic math, but nothing that's technically challenged. That was one of the promises I made early on, and we've stuck to it. And the other challenge was you're never going to have to spend a whole bunch of money today and hope that it works out later. In other words, no big investments required. Because from my vantage point, this has been true for a couple decades now, the way the internet changed business forever, it didn't change the rules of business. The rules have always been the same. You got to provide value if you want to stay in business. You got to make a profit if you want to stay in business. You better serve your customers well. Like, all those rules are still in place. But what the internet changed was big risks just aren't necessary anymore. You can test small. So why not test small? Why not test constantly? Why not fail constantly testing small? That's the theory. So the two promises I made were, one, to your point, Ken, nothing technically advanced. You have to learn a little bit, study a little bit, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist to fit in with the community we're going to build. And the other one is, it's never going to be a big financial risk that you hope someday pays off. We come in earning while you're learning with everything we do around here, because I think the internet makes those two promises possible. That's been our
that's
premise.
what's encouraging. When I first started taking the 101 course, boy, this is so over my head. I don't know if I understood any of it. And then reading some of the posts on the Facebook group. But then after, even today, before today, this podcast has helped me a great deal. I've already decided, okay, I'm investing the money into it, the time, commit a certain amount of time to it, and just do it. And I've gotten more, I know I can do it. It's going to take some time and effort, like you're saying. So I'm more encouraged now, because as I take little bites out of it, don't try to figure the whole thing out. That's not going to work. Take little bites, step by step, like your course shows how to do it. And I'm very encouraged now that I just have to put the time into it.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I got a question for you guys. This just popped in my head. And maybe this is a question for the listeners too, who kind of find themselves maybe kind of where you are, Andy and Ken. And either one of you can take a shot at answering this. And it's not so much a test, but I'm just curious what your response would be, and see if you can see where I'm going with this question. Okay. Here's the question. Why do we teach Amazon replens as the business model, the default business model to this community? Unless someone has a really, really good reason to go off in a different business direction in e-commerce, why do we teach that particular model? Because I can tell you, I've been exposed to, and maybe in the short time you've been researching e-commerce opportunities, you've been exposed to dozens, if not hundreds. I've been exposed to literally thousands of business models. Why is it for the past 7 years, this is the model that we steer everyone to? If you read the Silent Sales Machine book right now, the latest one, silentjim.com/free11, get a free copy. If you read that, I'll say, hey, unless you're very well positioned for one of these other business models, everything fits into a few categories as far as business models go. Unless you're very well positioned for one of these, get into Amazon replens. Why do you think that is? I'm just curious what you would say.
I'll take a shot.
Let's go.
Amazon and e-commerce is growing, and it will continue to grow. The consumer knows and trusts Amazon. there are not enough resellers on the platform. So there's the opportunity right there. And the things that you learn as you fulfill ASINs and things like that can be transferred to other platforms, Walmart, and others. How's that?
You're hired, man. You're hired. You're on the marketing team. Yeah. The only thing I would add, well, you know what? I want to hear from Ken. Did you have anything to add to that?
Well, I don't know enough about it to add. It's just that you seem like you have a successful track record of doing it. So why not do it? Why try anything different? That's all I could really add to it at this
It's
point.
creating success stories, which interestingly enough, when I launched my coaching program 23 years ago, and I fired 3 guys before I found the guy that I wanted to use. Within just a few days and a couple cases, I fired the guys because they don't understand what I'm trying to do here. Then I found Nathan Bailey. He's been with me 23 years. Heart of gold. Knows this industry inside and out. None of us are perfect, right? So I built a team of imperfect people, but together we really serve well. But one of the things that we said early on was, the goal of the coaching program isn't to get coaching students. The goal of the coaching program is to produce success stories. So if we stop producing success stories, we turn off any course, any tool, any event. If it's not producing success stories, what in the world are we doing, right? So that's the metric that we measure things by. Looks like we lost Ken. Not sure what happened there. Hopefully he can jump back in. But where I was going, the only 2 things I'd add to your answer, Andy, was the reason we teach Amazon replens is because it meets the promises I've made of the standards of what we teach, meaning no big risks required. It's not technologically challenging. And of all the business opportunities out there, nothing fits that bill. The low, low, high, man. And like you said, all those other benefits too. I love that you pointed out it opens up other doors. It opens up many other doors of opportunity, including beyond just being able to sell on Walmart. We've seen people, one guy came on my podcast about a year ago and said, yeah, I was rolling along with replens, doing great. I approached a brand and started helping them sell their brand on Amazon, and they're paying me well to do it. And then suddenly they called me one day and said, hey, we got a proposal for you. We want to buy your Amazon business, write you a big check, and just hire you full time to help us with our brand in e-commerce, not just Amazon. And he did the math. He's like, I just got paid a ton of money to do the same thing I've been doing already, and I'm getting paid more by them than I was making in my business. It's like, yeah, why not? I would get to work from home, flexible hours, and not asking me to come in and, punch a clock, right? So it opens up these incredible opportunities.
It's attractive. Who doesn't know Amazon? Who in the United States doesn't have a new warehouse going up? Who doesn't see all the trucks all over the place?
Exactly.
And just, it's the old, I wonder what they're getting, the people across the street. It's funny like that.
And that when I start talking that way, Andy, sometimes people will drift into, well, it sounds saturated to me. Whoa, time out. I posted just this morning in the Facebook group, and I love pointing out all the time on this topic of saturation. E-commerce is still way less than 20% of retail. Most people, when I ask them to guess, say things like 40, 70. I had one guy guess 90%. 90% of all retail is online. No, it's not, dude. It's less than 20%, way less than 20% still. And 10 years ago, it was 5%. So it's crawled its way up to 20. It's on its way to 30, 35, 40, 50, 60. We will see those numbers in our lifetime. Lord willing, we live long enough, right? We're going to see those kind of numbers of e-commerce truly taking over retail. It hasn't even started yet. So yeah, the game is just beginning. Saturation is a ridiculous premise to talk about. And the funny thing is, I've been doing this 23 years. I heard people talking about saturation on eBay 22 years ago. Like, oh, retail is saturated. It's so easy to go grab something at a store and throw it up for sale on eBay. It's saturated 22 years. And here's the thing, Amazon has created more millionaires than any company in world history, and it's still its infancy. And I'm not talking about investors who own the stock, although God bless them. Great stock to have bought 10, 15 years ago, right? I'm talking about the people building businesses on their platform like us and using all kinds of other strategies as well, of course. But
I run into people all the time, and they don't know that maybe I'm pursuing this opportunity.
Mhm.
And I just say to them, so if you were buying something from Amazon, are you the type that would, actually pay a little bit more in order to get it, right away? And every one of them says yes.
Mhm.
We're in our own little bubble and think, no, I wouldn't do that or whatever. But thank God there are lots of people who would.
Yes, and that's a lot of what's behind the success of this model is people who want things fast. One of the false premises people come into our community with quite often, Andy, is, well, if I can't sell it for cheaper than other people are selling it, I'm not going to get any sales. So the premise there is that Amazon, the false premise, is that Amazon is one big central warehouse, and we all hop online when we're shopping and we say, what does Amazon sell this for? Assuming that I'm going to be willing to wait as long as it takes to get the best price. But Amazon isn't one central warehouse where I have to wait. It is hundreds of warehouses, and in some cases it's located, down the street from me, and they don't have the inventory I need. That's underserved shelf space. Meaning if I'm a busy mom and I need a product and I got to decide, do I want to go to Walmart and spend 2 hours and maybe they don't have it and then go to Target? Or if I can hop on the internet and say, okay, look, there's only one of two scenarios that happen when I hop on Amazon.com. Either they've got it and I can get it fast, and I'm willing to pay a lot to get it fast. I don't care about waiting 3 or 4 days to get it cheaper from another seller. A smart seller has sent in some high-priced inventory and dispersed it in Amazon's warehouse network, and I'm going to grab that unit. I'm not price shopping at that point. Millions of shoppers are shopping based on convenience. I'm not price sensitive. I'm going to grab that unit. And that unit, as we've proven time and time and time around here, could be priced so much higher than all the other sellers. But that unit of inventory sitting in a warehouse near that busy mom is the only unit that's available to her. And she will pay the extra money gladly and gratefully because she doesn't have to get her toddlers in the car seats and drive to Walmart to find out they don't have it, and then drive to Target to find out they don't have it, and then decide if she still wants to go to Kroger or not and see if they have it, right? No, she's paying an extra $8 and it's going to be on her porch by 10 o'clock tonight. Sold. Because a smart seller realized there's so much underserved shelf space at Amazon's hundreds of warehouses. So it's not about me winning the price wars to be a successful seller. It's about me filling the underserved shelf space at a price that's profitable to me. Even if Walmart has it cheaper, that's irrelevant because now speed has entered the equation. And that's how shoppers shop, millions of them every day. So yeah, to your point, when you ask your friends, another thing I like to ask people is, how often are you on Amazon with everyday common stuff? The vitamins that you need once a month or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't need to be something you buy over and over, or the hammer you need for a weekend project, right? And you look and like, surely I can get this quickly, especially if you live in a major city. Hundreds of millions of us live near major cities in the United States. So I should be able to get this really quick. It's a common item. And you hop on there and Amazon says, oh, we have 3 to 6 days for delivery. Sorry, on this one, right? What? Like, I can go to Walmart and grab one right now. Like, I don't want to wait 3 to 6 days. We expect fast. How often are you shopping and you see this stuff that simple, everyday, common, easily sourced stuff that you can't get as quick as you'd like? The fact is, there's millions of products on Amazon right now that for millions of shoppers, it's just not available fast because it's not in a warehouse near the shopper.
Right.
That's underserved shelf space. Send in that hammer, mark it up $15. The guy who's got a weekend project tomorrow doesn't have to go to Home Depot tonight. He can have it on his front porch at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and he'll pay.
And he already promised his wife he was going to do the work that weekend anyway.
And he has a date tonight with her, and he's going to do the work tomorrow. Like, I don't want to go to Home Depot, right? So people will pay. So here's this, and people sometimes have to rewind and listen to this phrase a few times, but I'm going to say it with intention because it makes a lot of sense. Today on Amazon, millions of shoppers are going to pay far less than they were willing to for items that will arrive later than they wish they could get them.
Powerful.
That's the gap.
Yeah.
Or they're going to say, you know what? I don't want to wait 3 days. I'm just going to go to Walmart. And there's no metric right now to measure that decision point. Amazon really should do the homework here. If they were smart, they'd hire me to do it, help them do it. To say how many people are getting on Amazon, shopping for an item, and saying, ouch, 3 days, I'll just go to Walmart. Millions of items every day. Easily sourced stuff that you could go to your local Walmart, buy 5 off the shelf right now, mark it up $15, and people will snag it before you can even blink because now they can get it quick. Because it's
And there's pain going to Walmart, whether it's construction or it snows outside
or just putting up with the outfit.
People there.
Yes. Yeah. Cursing those self-checkout machines. People don't like the retail experience and they'll pay a lot to avoid it, and understanding that. So it's not about, it tells me people don't understand the opportunity yet, Andy, when they come to me and say, well, I could buy this for the same amount at Walmart. How am I ever going to make a profit on Amazon with this product? Like, no, look at the prices other sellers are charging for that. Sure, there's some people charging the same price as Walmart, but if it takes me three to 5 days to get that price is, I know my wife's not taking that price. She's taking the one that gets on the shelf today.
How about the value of your time? There's a concept.
Exactly. One of the best pieces of content Jeff Bezos has ever created was his letter to investors in 2020. Have you ever read it, Andy?
No, I've heard you say it. 2000, right? Or 2020?
2020, the letter to investor in 2020. He did the math. He said, let's assume that the average American's time is worth $10 per hour. That's just how much their time is worth to them. So that's a ridiculously low number, and I agree. But let's assume Amazon saved shoppers hundreds of billions of dollars of time. So Bezos was onto something there. I'm like, stick with that line of thought, partner, because if Amazon can start helping us as sellers know where this underserved shelf space is and allow us to charge the prices and the premiums, which they already do for the most part, but they're not being as helpful as they could be, which is part of the game too, that keeps it interesting. And we've gotten really good at finding this underserved shelf space without Amazon's help. But if they begin helping us, it blows the doors off this thing. Meaning shoppers are no longer having to wonder, man, do I want to go to Walmart and get it today? Or do I want to wait 3 days and save $8? Right? How about we just fill the shelves with all the good stuff, man? and that's where the gaps are. Everyone wins. Customers happier. Amazon's making more money, right? Sellers understand and can with more clarity stop guessing as much as we do, although we're getting really good at guessing. We're getting really good at minimizing the risk. I had a conversation with a senior vice president at Amazon at his invitation, invited me to lunch because we've trained a whole bunch of people how to sell on their platform. This guy worked for Bezos, right? Incredible conversation, who told me to my face, you guys are so much better at filling our shelves than we'll ever be. Thank you. Like, that's pretty cool, right? Because we do the math. We're putting our own money at risk. We're buying the inventory that makes sense. We're not going out and buying 10,000 units. We're buying 5 or 10 at a time and putting it where it needs to go and turning that into 40 to 150% ROI and doing it again tomorrow if the opportunity is still there at scale. That's the business. Yeah, great conversation, man. I love your questions, Andy. And sorry to have lost Ken. Ken pinged me and said he's having trouble with his audio. So he says he can hear, but he's not able to jump in. No worries, Ken. Thanks for your contributions today. But what else is on your mind, Andy? Anything else? But I think this has been a really good episode.
No, I'm looking forward to Orlando. I'm looking forward to signing up for coaching, and I have a goal to, have a viable business before I get there. So I have the goal right there.
Well, here we are at the end of February. The event is the last 3 days of May. We've mentioned it. I should probably drop the link on people. It's 3 words, theprovenconference.com. Last 3 days of May. There's a workshop 2 days prior to that on the same property, but we have hundreds of people already registered, 40 breakout sessions. Yeah, so glad you're going to come, man. You sign up for coaching. registration's on me, dude. Okay. So I'll cover that. And as a thank you for coming on the show today. Same to you, Ken. I know you can hear us still, man, but you can't do the audio thing. So if you can come, registration's on me, brother. But I really appreciate you doing this today, Andy. I think this is going to be some good content for folks. And yeah, Ken's pinging me with a text. Thanks for having me on. He said he feels very encouraged. Love to hear it. But
one last thing. I do appreciate your content and your speaking of Rabbi Daniel Lapin.
Yeah, a great friend of mine. We're doing some great projects together. And yeah, thank you for the shout out to him. Yeah, he's influenced. I've actually got a book right here. Since you dropped his name, let's give a little plug to his latest book. Here it is, Holistic You, Integrating Faith, Family, Finance, Friendships, and Fitness. Great book. We've built our whole coaching organization around that concept, by the way, whether people realize it or not. That is our coaching program. I'm helping him build out his coaching program right now as well. Since you mentioned it, silentjim.com/Lapin, LAPIN is where you can go to get more info on that. A couple free webinars people can enjoy. But so do you consume his content, Andy? You've been a fan of his, or?
I'm getting there. I had no idea he had so many podcasts and so many appearances. So yeah, it's always exciting to find something brand new.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you ever listen to anything Dave Ramsey does, or a lot of the very influential, Christian business guys, they all love Lapin. Lapin is their money and finance through a biblical vantage point guru. So to get to work closely with him has been a huge honor, and we learn a ton from each other. We got this, mutual admiration society kind of thing going on. He's in awe of the e-commerce and the tech side, which he's kind of unfamiliar with, and I'm bringing him along. And for me, he just keeps opening up these incredible aha moments of, he was a big part of why we became so committed to doing live events, for example, because one of the Hebrew principles is the power when people gather. There's a synergy that can't be recreated any other way. There's actually math you can do to the synergy and the power of gathering, which is a biblical principle. And we felt the effects of that in 2020 when we didn't gather as much. And we all were like a little less human, putting those masks on and covering our faces. Like, what's going on? It felt dystopian, right? Like we all felt that. What was that? That was us heading away from that model. So as we head to that model of, here's my face, here's my voice, we're in the same room at the same time, and there's more than 2, 3, 5 of us. Now there's 10, 20, now there's 100. There's an energy that kind of forms. We've all felt that. Well, that's not just some kind of strange coincidence. That's the way we're designed, right? So, and that's been understood for thousands of years. So those very practical principles applied to business are powerful stuff. So yeah, thanks for giving him a shout out. And I've benefited from his mentorship immeasurably. And yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about his stuff anytime. Getting me to shut up is the trick on that topic. But Andy, thank you so much for your time. And
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, let me talk to the listeners for just a second. If this was one of the first episodes you ever listened to of the Silent Sales Machine Radio, it's an unusual one. I've done it once, maybe twice in the 1,000 episodes or so that we've done so far. But most of our episodes are interviews with students who are already succeeding at a high level with the training and the content, the coaching that we provide around here. If you're interested in getting into more of those episodes, just scroll back. Like Andy mentioned earlier, he's listened to about 20 episodes. That's enough to get a good feel for what's going on around here. But then just keep scrolling back in time. The best way to listen to our show is never miss a new episode and scroll back in time, but go back and pick up some of the original episodes too. You'll see I was far less seasoned, didn't have as good of equipment back then, but some very sound principles all the way along. And as we approach 1,000 episodes, we're just excited to see, what comes next, but it's all going to be grounded in creating success stories of the people that God sends our way. So God bless the business building warriors, my new friends, Andy and Ken. Thank you guys. Hope to see you guys in Orlando. Like we said, to all the listeners, we'll have some more great episodes for you very soon. We'll talk to you then. Hey, thanks for joining us for today's show. But before I let you go, I've got a good friend of mine, Kang Dang. He is with 3P Mercury, a great partner around here who's doing a lot of amazing things. If you don't know who Kang is, I really encourage you, go back and listen to podcast episode number 754. Lately, I've been calling it my all-time favorite episode because not only is it very informative, instructional, and encouraging, but it tells you Kang's story, and it's an incredible story. If you haven't heard Kang's story of kind of how God brought him into our community and what's happened since then, you really need to go hear that episode. And he talks a lot on that episode about 3P Mercury. Around here, we call it the system, kind of the short version of it. Before we had a name, that's what we called it. So we've kept calling it that. Go to silentjimdotcom/the system to get details. But Kang and his team are always working on new features of this software that manages the complete workflow of an Amazon and Walmart seller's business. So it's always good to hear what they're working on, what's brewing, what's new. So Kang, what's on your mind today, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Hey, same. Yeah, we just got a lot of things going, especially with a lot of new release plans with 3P Mercury. So, we have several hundred people using 3P Mercury for Amazon that we opened up a few months ago, and they are just absolutely loving it. I'm sure you guys are hearing the podcasts that are going on and people's experience with 3P, how it's helping their business in so many ways. But we're constantly pushing forward and launching new things. As part of our commitment to the development schedule, we did say that Walmart integration would be in the works, and I'm happy to say that we've recently done a soft beta launch of Walmart. And this is the initial release that we're putting out to the current user base. So, as far as our current users, we're so far we've only launched this soft beta for a week. We've had about 100 people already connected to their Walmart account, and we're getting really great feedback. It's allows them to do a lot of things. Manage their catalog, manage their purchase orders, their leads for Walmart. So you now have an ability to track your entire workflow from start to end, just like how you would do with Amazon and 3P Mercury. View your finances. We've even added things like, for instance, you're able to print your barcodes, and then features like adding items to your catalog, converting to WFS. We're soon going to build, the ability to even create shipments within 3P Mercury. So
Man,
there's a lot going on with Walmart right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, the nice thing about this software is it's homegrown. Like, you're a student of this community. You discovered Amazon and built a $3 million business through this community. You built this software, and I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, Kane. I'm just helping the audience keep up the speed here, especially if they're new. You built this software to manage your $3 million business. It was run with one warehouse worker and a virtual assistant or two at any given time, completely automated. This is the tool. So you made the decision, hey, let's just let anyone use this. Let's roll this out to the community. And since then, here we are, about a year and a half, coming up on maybe even 2 years of kicking this thing around. And it's taken off. Like you said, hundreds of users. And it is a complete workflow management system for replen sellers on Amazon, Walmart sellers. And it's phenomenal. And every time I talk to you, there's new features. We've got a full-time programmer now that's like, this is all he's pounding away on. So the features are coming fast. You're doing a phenomenal job, man. I'm thrilled. We use it in my business, and so many others are starting to use it as well. So congrats, man. It's a huge success.
Yeah, I'm we're really committed to, our core is that, this is a community grown software. You guys build all the features, you tell me what you want and we put it in there. And it's just amazing to see how the software has transformed since we released it a few months ago. It's a completely different animal. And I will probably say the same thing in about 6 months from now. It's just going to be, I think it's just going to be one of those software where it's just going to completely change the industry and the way we operate on these, marketplaces.
I believe so as well. It's just a matter of people hearing about it, because once they hear about it, they see it demonstrated, they do the math, they think to themselves, okay, best training team in the industry, most robust workflow software. Yeah, this is the way to go if I want to be a reseller on Amazon, Walmart, wholesale, private label. It'll manage all that as well. But I love the ability. One of my favorite things that I've been sharing, Kang, as I talk about the software is, for the first time, I've been doing reselling for 23 years. For the first time in the last 6 months to a year or so, it's now possible to just go out and find loads of viable ASINs and dump them into a machine that tracks it all for you and tells you when it's time to take action. That's groundbreaking. That is going to change the way people do reselling. And we're seeing it. We're hearing it on the podcast episodes with success stories. So now's the time. The only thing I want to throw out there, unless you've got anything else, is the fact that this is ridiculously underpriced. If you're listening to this recording when it comes out, it costs between a quarter to a fifth of what it will cost once this thing starts to take traction publicly, which it will inevitably. So now's the time to get in, and you want to go over to silentjim.com/thesystem, or just get on our calendar if you want to have a conversation with us. There's a link to our coaching team there. They can talk to you about the system as well. But yeah, well done, Kang. You're doing an awesome job. Any final thoughts as we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope to have more users in the community, to help add in your thoughts and your ideas to help build a better software. We closed off the sign up in terms of the promo, a few weeks ago. We decided to kind of do a little mini celebration and open it back up and let folks join in. But it's just like Jim says, join early while it's cheap. And the thing is, once you do join, it's locked in. That price is always locked in for you. So future updates, future features where we launch like some of the amazing features I haven't even released, in public in terms of, letting you know what it is. But there's going to be some amazing things, some groundbreaking things, that we're going to develop for this software, and it'll be all included for you. So
extra cost. Yeah, you're grandfathered in indefinitely if you get in now. Yeah, so we reopened it back up to celebrate Walmart integration. That door will close again soon. So get over there and lock it in. It goes great with anyone who's doing any volume whatsoever on Amazon or Walmart. This is the tool to use to manage your whole workflow. Because I know for my team, before we converted over to the system, we were using a bunch of spreadsheets, many of which I had a lot of pride in because I'd helped design and build over time. But we've turned all that off. If you're using spreadsheets at all to help you manage your Amazon or your Walmart business, you're losing a lot of time and money. It's not an efficient system. You need to test out the system. We call it 3P Mercury. Get over to silentjim.com/thesystem. Check it out. If you don't love it, turn it off. But you've got to get in and try it out while the price is this low. We'd love to help you get it set up. All right. So I think that's a good update for everyone. We'll have you back again real soon, Kang, if that's all right.
All right.
Sound good? All right. Thanks for listening to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I'm going to let you go for real this time. Thanks for being the best part of our show. We'll have another good episode for you very soon.